Diggy, diggy hole.
Diggy hole. I was waiting for one of y'all to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Arms Room 15 podcast. I appreciate y'all for joining us on this fine adventure that we're on. Next to me, on my left and my right, two of the most awesome guys you guys could ever call friends or lesser enemies if you're someone. I wasn't going to point you out, but all right.
I've been called a friend before by him.
It's like they should know.
I'm special.
So, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We've got an interesting. There's some stuff going on in our world this week, and I definitely told these guys I want to talk about it for sure. First off, before we start, to the YouTube moderators, we appreciate y'all. How y'all doing? Also, we believe in the First Amendment, and until they legally try to take that away, which they're not going to be able to, but until they legally take that away,
that's what you think,
we're going to be able to say and do what we want. So, I mean, hey, I'm not challenging you. I'm just saying that we do have a freedom of speech. Wrong or right?
What? I blinked.
You blanked out? Come on. All right, so this episode, I want to talk about it, and it's kind of funny because we started talking about it a little bit before the podcast. I'm like, guys, stop. We need to hit play, hit record, so we can do this on the podcast. Oh,
gotta show off.
Go ahead. Introduce your baby.
I guess it's become a thing now that I bring a different gun every week where I talk about it. But this one is actually the most unique one. It's also heavy.
I've shot that sucker. You want to talk about hand cannon? That sucker is a hand cannon.
So, unfortunate thing, I forgot to bring ammo for this. I mean, I say for it, but I wanted to show off one of the rounds and I forgot it. But this is a CVA Scout V2 single shot break action handgun. The barrel's about 14 inches from the back end there all the way to the tip. Sorry, I hit the mic. And I'm the problem here. So this is a single shot break action handgun chambered in 6.5 Grendel.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know much about the Grendel, that was actually one of the contenders to replace the 5.56 in the military.
Yeah.
Right. Only problem was unlike what they did with SIG, they definitely are replacing the caliber, but they just essentially replaced the whole rifle.
Right.
Whereas with the Grendel, they were only looking to replace the ammunition. And once they found out how much it was going to cost to get a new bolt,
rechamber everything,
new barrel, train everybody how to use that one and all that, or
I feel like the training wouldn't have been that
training
bad.
probably wouldn't have been that long or that bad.
Well, because I remember when they were talking about it, I was in the military when they were talking, and I was an armorer when they were talking about it, so they were putting it down the pipe and say, hey, we might be going to this. I was like, oh, okay. There's not, because it's the weapon system is the same.
Right.
They're not really changing enough to actually warrant like actual retraining, like major retraining. It would be all the training would be like
an
probably
hour on the range or something.
Yeah, 1 or 2 days of familiarization with the new rounds and like recoil and all that junk.
Right. So they also probably would have had to replace the mags too, because I did test this theory. It fits in the mag of a 5.56, but only single stack, and you only get like 10 rounds because of how wide it is. So they would have had to buy new magazines too. So it ultimately just got axed because of the cost.
Right.
So many other rifles.
Yeah. Okay, it got axed because of the cost, but then they're like, let's do a whole new rifle altogether.
Well, that was what because of the
I guess the cost is equal to
yeah,
that.
it was basically that was what it was. It was
okay.
if we're gonna be paying the amount of money that it would be to just replace it, just replace it.
To just basically remodel the M4, why not just get a whole new gun?
Right.
For sure.
For sure. And the cool thing about this is it's also got a threaded barrel, so I could put a suppressor in here if I want. There's no peep sight on it, which is weird. I would have thought there would have been a peep sight. There's a notch for it, but
that is a massive stinking end cap to that, man.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty big gun. It's heavy. That's
a decent sized handgun to start with, even though it is single shot.
Yeah.
You imagine putting a can on the end of that thing, dude? Like that. Oh, man. Good
Careful,
night.
I don't want you to drop it on your computer or your keyboard rather. But yeah, and the scope, I know it's what is that? West Hunter.
Yeah.
It looks like that was a
We got that. He got that from our school, which totally by accident. Wait.
Representing.
There we go. SDI.
So,
They do not sponsor our podcast, but hey, guys, you got two guys doing a podcast, so if you want to, hit us up.
So that was the only gun I had available to actually put a scope on, and I would have had to like basically either that or get a piece of wood and drill into it so I could put the rings on there.
Did you tap that? Giggity. Wait, did
I tap that?
Did you tap?
Devin is so disappointed.
Good luck with editing this one, Devin.
Here we are. And we are basically giving all of the, no pun intended, but ammo to the people who already use firearms as a sexual, oh, I'm sorry about your dick, bro, kind of thing.
Well, I mean...
So...
No, what I was asking was, did you have to drill and tap that rail, or was it already drilled into the barrel? Did you already have holes?
The rail was actually already on there.
Oh, the rail was
the rail
on there.
Here was already,
okay.
The scope rings and the scope itself was from SDI for the project.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed in the fact that none of the instructors commented on it, but...
Really?
Yeah, they didn't comment like, that's an odd firearm to have that type of scope on, because this is a
I would have thought it would have been cool, man.
Yeah. You know what that was?
What?
They've probably seen it all.
Probably.
And they were like, I've seen that crap before.
It's also hammer fired. I don't think you can see it, but it is hammer fired with a bit of an odd safety on here.
Your
but
forearms in the way.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's hard to see, but this gun's also kind of heavy. But it is a rifle scope, so I have to get right here to get a proper sight picture. So that's gonna...
This is all I can see when he's doing that. He's got his eye right up against it.
Yeah,
just
I have to
fire. Bang!
right here. So that's a good way to get scope bit.
Give him the raccoon eye on one side.
Might want to reconsider maybe putting an ACOG or something on that.
I want to get a I think it's called a recon scope. The ones that they typically put on revolvers. Those have a bit of a different eye relief.
Yeah.
So that's the one I want to get. But that came in the mail for a project. I was like, I have nothing else to mount this to. Screw it. Why not?
Not bad. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the gun of the week from Eric.
Eventually,
this pistol is typically meant for hunting. Worth clarifying that it gives a challenge to hunters who typically sit up in tree stands. They have to get on the ground and actually find it and get close and then shoot.
Right.
Nice.
So that's the point.
Eventually, we'll end up seeing my stuff, and
I mean, we might
usually a little bigger than.
I mean, we might have to fill up the walls instead of putting stuff on the walls like this. We may just have to fill up the whole wall with.
Eventually,
guns.
we're just gonna have to do this in your living room. Like we'll be so
Right.
full.
I mean, if it is what it is. I mean, hey, if we have to, we have to. So this week, I've got a topic that we wanted to discuss because this is absolute bull. Please bleep that. This is absolute crap.
I didn't say it.
I know.
You bleeped yourself.
I know. But
You want me to say it?
It's even funnier.
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
He can bleep me. I'll say it.
No, don't.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Anyways, so this week we've had an interesting thing happen in New Mexico. For those of you who, in New Mexico, I don't know if people from New Mexico watch this, but hey,
Yeah,
I apologize because y'all are living with some bullcrap right now. Like seriously,
another UFO landed.
Yeah, no, that's not what we're talking about. So in New Mexico, the governor decided she was going to declare a state of emergency because of gun violence, and then say for the next 30 days, anybody in Bernalillo County or the city of Albuquerque no longer has your right to conceal or open carry, regardless if you have a permit or not. She flat out laid it out there. Unless you're a police officer or a security guard who uses a firearm for your line of duty, and you're a licensed security guard, she made sure to put that out there. Then, if you're not one of those two categories, guess what? You don't have a firearm. But I'd be willing to bet that her bodyguards probably have firearms.
Well, they're licensed.
You know
Security.
why? I knew it. I said that and went no. I knew you were going to say something. One of y'all was. But okay. But regardless, the fact,
Logic.
All right, edit a dunce cap right there. Right there. Dunce cap.
It's
The
all
dunce
good.
cap that comes over the face.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she basically said that you no longer have your Second Amendment rights. You no longer have, you can't conceal carry, open carry, none of that. Now, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, but I also want to put out the fact that before we get into that the sheriff and the police chief of Albuquerque have both come out and basically condemned what she said and said, we are not enforcing this. This is not only wrong, it's unconstitutional. Like, the sheriff laid it out perfectly in his press conference. He said flat out, this is unconstitutional, and my deputies will not be enforcing this. I didn't watch the police chief's press conference that he did or his response to it, but I do know that he also condemned it. So basically, she's turning to the state police to enforce this law, turning the state police into her miniature army.
Well, I mean,
Thoughts?
Obviously, she can't use the militia because they'll be like, no.
Yeah, I mean, nah. It's ridiculous.
Well,
I wanted to talk about tyranny because this is a blatant, obvious deal.
Well, they're starting to get more brazen.
For sure.
Clearly, they're starting to not be as afraid as they once were.
About taking our rights?
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Or at least trying. Because even if they fail, the fact that they're just so outright being like, hey, no longer a right, that kind of thing, and at least trying it,
Yeah,
that right there is concerning.
for sure.
Absolutely.
At the to put it not so subtly, but the real question is what's going to happen. What are people going to do about it, right? Now, obviously,
Well, there's already been 2 lawsuits filed.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that is a thing, but let's say what were to happen if? Yeah, it's fine if they do a lawsuit, but what if the chief and the sheriff hadn't come out and said we're going to condemn it or we're not going to enforce it? What if instead they worked the opposite direction and were like, yeah, we're totally on board with this. We're going to enforce it to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah,
What if that had happened?
yeah.
Right? We're just the governor canning them and replacing them away.
Well, they can't can the sheriff.
No, they can't can the sheriff. They can't mesh with the commissioner.
Well, I don't think they can mess with Albuquerque police chief, but the city council can.
Yes. So
So it
but
depends
I
if
would
the city
say,
council's on their side, but the governor can come in and just say, no, you're done.
I mean-
I don't know what New Mexico law is. So, and every state is different. So,
Oh, speaking of New Mexico law, so let me throw this out there. This same governor, God, this is so ironic. This same governor, when she first got sworn in, signed into law that anybody that takes away New Mexican citizens' rights like that is liable to a civil lawsuit and up to $2 million. Like, you want to talk about the epitome of irony right there. Like, she put that out, signed that into law.
maybe we'll be lucky and she'll get the full extent of her own law.
Oh my gosh, that would be fantastic. So people,
Although that's like chump change to her.
Maybe.
maybe
Depends on
governors don't make that much money.
Depends on
They
how long
might make
she's been
6
in there.
figures,
Yeah,
but
but
not
I
a
don't
high
think-
6.
How long has she been governor?
I don't know. I wish I had my laptop. I could throw that up real quick, but
I'm not sure, but
What's her name?
it's
Good
New Mexico governor. Her name is Michelle
Obama?
something. No. Obama. No, so she signed that into law, and so people are up at arms about this. They're not only calling for her resignation, they're calling for her to flat out get arrested for stripping citizens in the country of their rights. And then, of course, there's a lot of people saying this is, a shadow of what's to come. The whole COVID-19 lockdowns thing. Next, they're going to try to do that. So
Michelle Grisham.
Michelle Grisham, that's what it was. I knew it was a G.
So yeah, let's see how long she's been in.
But yeah, so while he's looking that up, I mean, it's crazy. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
it's absolutely insane that someone would come out and basically say, yeah, the rights that you have that are supposed to be God-given rights that are written into our Constitution, yeah, you no longer have that. So the equivalent is if she would have came out and said, I'm declaring a state of an emergency, you can no longer say whatever you want. You don't have a First Amendment anymore.
I mean, that's not too far away. I mean, I was listening to.
She's been governor since 2019.
2019.
So
she just
4
got
years.
elected.
So only So I don't think she's quite at the
Well, I think governors serve
millionaire mark yet.
Well,
she probably could.
The question is where's that money going to come from? Because it's not going to come from her own pockets. It's going to come from the state's budget. So it's $2 million is chump change for her at this point.
No, $2 million per citizen.
Per citizen?
Yeah.
Like,
okay. Well, in that case, then maybe
that's
a
what
bit
I'm saying. It goes per person who gets their rights violated. So take the county population of Bernalillo County and Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's how many people could slap her with a $2 million lawsuit. Like,
well,
forget how. I don't care if she's made $10 million in the 4 years that she's been governor. Guess what?
And usually those
five people will wipe that out.
Typically, those millions of dollars don't come from taxpayers. It comes from
donors,
lobbyists. Yeah, lobbyists, or it comes from like book deals and things like
Well, but again, that's personal. That's a personal finance, rather.
I know.
If she got sued right now, it'd be the state government paying it out. I don't think it'd be her.
She can get sued civilly. Is not to do with her governorship.
But she did it in her governmental office, which the argument could be made that it's the government doing it. So the government, it may come out of the state budget.
I see your argument. I see it.
I have a feeling I don't think it'll be
like that's
the government that'll be getting sued.
It'll probably like be some of the lawsuits.
Most likely, it'll probably be them, like the government officials suing her, so they can't be suing themselves.
Here's hoping. Well,
so we record this podcast on Tuesdays. Hopefully by Friday, there's something that's come out about this. But man, I mean, I really hope something gets moving. All it takes is one person to one state DA to stand up and go, you know what? That's not right.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it takes. But so again, people are not only calling for her resignation, for her impeachment. They're calling for her to flat out get arrested for this. And you know what? I think she should too.
I'll bet money it's not going to happen.
I bet it's not going to happen. But
no, the only person
wouldn't that be a slap in the face if it did, though, man? It would send a message far and wide to all the governors in these states to let them know you ain't going to pull that bull crap here.
Well,
not in this country.
Apparently, the only person who gets thrown over into jail is Trump. So
yeah,
I mean,
apparently you got to do good for the country before you get thrown in jail.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to talk about that. Cause
we could jump on a soapbox and talk about that for the next 9 hours.
Oh, excuse me, sorry. No, but I mean, it probably isn't going to happen. Just because of the side that she's currently on right now. And one of my biggest pet peeves, and again, I don't want to get too political, so this is where, just prefacing this comment is neutral. The one particular side starts with a D. Blue is their color. They're going full-blown...
Deep blue.
The deep blue state.
The deep state. Deep blue. But they tend to do a lot of this stuff more brazenly, as you pointed out. They're getting braver with this type of stuff. And then you got an other side. Their party starts with an R. Their color is red.
Some of them are known as rhinos, though.
I would classify most of them as rhinos at this point because they're a bunch of pansies. They're just they're sitting idly by, not doing anything.
I will agree.
So that's why again, my comment. This isn't a political podcast. My comment is neutral.
Okay.
I'm equally frustrated with both right now,
Fair.
with maybe one or two exceptions that I'm hopeful about. But overall, both sides are just aggravating me.
Yeah. I will say, with the exception of Matt Gaetz. Nah, don't you? Go look up Matt Gaetz. He just called out the Speaker McCarthy for not. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, you're the Speaker of the House. You're the House Majority Leader or whatever he said. And he goes, and he's like, none of this stuff has like all this stuff that we said we were going to do. We were gonna go after this person and that person and look into this person. They all happen to be in the White House, and he was like, none of that's happened. So he actually called for Speaker McCarthy's immediate relief of duty or something like that to vacate the seat of the House Speaker. Like Matt Gaetz, the Republican in Florida, dude does not play.
Can they call a vote?
That's what it has to be introduced by a representative. So Matt Gaetz, being a representative of the House, introduced it. I don't know where that went because I saw that literally at the end of the day when I was getting off work today. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't speak to that because I don't know too much about that. But if it happened, and sure, like maybe it got shot down or something. I mean,
immediately. I'd be willing to bet a vote like that got it. Oh no, we don't want to impeach anybody that's been in this office for 40 years.
Here's the deal. A lot of those guys like this gentleman, even a lot of times what will happen is that they'll sit there and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put this thing that makes it sound like I'm really fighting to help my party.
Exactly.
And then nothing, they just let it die because at least it looks like I did something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the point I was gonna make.
Yeah.
It's like he might just be putting on a show.
Right.
I mean, sure, that's brazen. That's pretty bold, but
it's
bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works.
It's not.
It's a little bold.
It'll be bold. It would be bold if he was coming after the other side. It's one thing to come after because everyone's frustrated already.
Right.
So coming after your own party doesn't look like anything anymore.
Well, so hold on a second because Matt Gaetz has been leading the charge against like the whole Hunter Biden thing against the ATF.
I thought that was Jim Jordan.
Well, Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz. Anytime you see Jim Jordan's name, Matt Gaetz is he's a co-signer to almost everything Jim Jordan puts out. So
in other words, Jim Jordan's doing all the legwork and Matt Gaetz
no,
is like, I support.
Not necessarily. No,
Teacher, can I participate?
So look, I've been paying attention to a lot of that stuff in Congress and stuff like that, and definitely Jim Jordan is definitely not a rhino. Matt Gaetz definitely not a rhino. Ron DeSantis.
That's what they want you to believe.
Exactly. Well, I'm actually quite impressed with Jim Jordan with what he's been doing, but aside from all that,
I don't trust none of them.
Well, again, I'm with you. I'm impressed a little bit by what he's doing. But
see,
the guy, the only person
10 years ago, it would have impressed me. Now, nothing impresses me.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, we want to
see action.
You're supposed
Forget
to be doing
the
that.
talk. We want to see action, and I'm sure we're not the only people that feel that way. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of Americans out there that are like, you know what? Screw this talk bull crap. I want to see the walk. Let's see it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of my bigger pet peeves with both sides. One is going full blown tyrannical. And
the other's like, don't do that. That's not nice.
Yeah, the other side's like trying to scold them in line. The other side's trying to scold them in line, and then you got the blue people who are just like.
This has gotten super political.
It has. I mean, I don't want to take it there. Hey, I just wanted to start. I just wanted to comment. I hate both right now.
Basically, red versus blue.
Red pill, blue pill.
No, from Halo, the red versus blue.
My name is Michael J. Caboose, and taxes.
It's Texas, you idiot!
That too.
I went more Matrix.
The Matrix sucks.
Hot take.
I'm kidding. I actually love that movie.
Is there a red versus blue reference that we could use from Predator?
I don't know. I've never seen it. He's gonna edit something right there. Just.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
There you go. But that's just. I just wanted to cover that. Like you got one side that's running with it, going tyrannical, like you said, and then we got another side that's like we will verbally disapprove, but we're not going to stand in your way, which is always dangerous. In the system that's based on checks and balances, when you got the party that's supposed to be checking right now, that's not doing anything. The other side's going crazy right now, and it paves that way for them.
The red side, the way they like to do it is they they stand in the doorway, because they got the doorway of tyranny, right?
Mm-hmm.
They like to stand in the doorway, single file.
Halt.
But it's a double door.
You can go.
No, so it's like basically what they do is like they're standing in the doorway. The door's always open. They're standing in the doorway, and someone goes to go through it, and they're like, "No, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that." He's so far.
It's like, oh no.
Hey, stop! Don't. Oh, okay, you can go.
No, he's too far.
Wait,
He can't hear
no.
me.
Oh, okay, you can go.
And like I said, there's only like 1 or 2 candidates that I may be hopeful about, but other than that, like it's just
I'm telling you, man.
aggravating.
All right, so back to the whole tyranny thing, back to disruption of rights. Like, this is not the only case that this has happened. Now, I also heard about something in Connecticut today where they have banned private sales altogether. They have said any firearm sales must now go through an FFL, regardless if it's a private or if it's a dealer. You have to go get a background check. And they also are doing not just the NICS background check, but they're doing a background check through the state of Connecticut as well. I don't know. I watched like 20 like minutes of that video.
Don't background checks already go through the state, though?
I thought so.
No. NICS background checks go through the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Yes.
The entire country. So that should tell you everything. And we've had those in place.
They're probably just doing a double.
Yeah,
double
well, they're trying to make it look like they're doing more, but they're not.
Well,
it's
so
all redundant.
because
Super redundant.
Because I think even like in the if you're trying to join the National Guard, they kind of do the same thing, where they'll do 2 background checks. They'll do one federal, the normal one, military one, but then they'll do their own for their own state stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's probably the same process that they're trying to do.
But private sales are still illegal in this country.
Right, but here's the deal: those kind of ones, even though we see it as tyrannical, most people are like, yeah, that makes sense. We should go through give everyone background checks, which is because in our minds, in our hearts, we're like, yeah, that's a good idea.
But we've been doing that.
But it's one of those things that.
Where does it end?
Right.
Yeah, it was. We give them the thing that makes sense, and they typically will weaponize it against people.
Sure.
All right, so it's kind of the same thing with even. I know people always freak out about me when I say then like the laws where it forbids criminal or felons from having gun rights. Everyone's like, yes, that's a good idea. Bad guys, guys who have felony records shouldn't have guns. Then they just took that to the next level, and now we're having to keep anything that they designed for criminals eventually gets to the good people.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where we have to.
It's kind of like
stop.
one of those.
We basically have to stop being like.
So
even the good idea, the ones that we think are good ideas, eventually become bad ideas, and we have to stop it before it even gets.
Because it always transitions, like you said. It's like, well, let's ban felons from having firearms.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well that makes sense. It's like, all right, now if we make you a felon,
right?
Now you can't
slapped your wife? Oh, domestic violence. You're a felon. Immediately.
Well, that one you actually.
Okay.
So that one
Hold on.
So that was the Lautenberg amendment, and you actually you don't even need a felony misdemeanor.
Right, you can have a misdemeanor. Okay, and let me also say I decry. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Okay. I am not a fan, nor do I agree. I actually disagree strongly with domestic violence.
Strongly oppose.
Strongly oppose, thank you. I strongly oppose
I'm glad
domestic
you
violence.
Clarify that. Because
My wife does not get beat, okay? Just ask her. I promise you she could probably kick my butt, okay?
He gets beat on the regular.
I don't get beat. I know she doesn't watch, but if she did, she'd be like, oh my gosh, don't tell him not to say stuff like that.
I was wondering what the bruise on the back of your
It's
head was.
not
He fell down the stairs.
I don't even have
Single
stairs.
He tripped over the dog.
Y'all are about to get me in trouble, man. No. Okay, but I agree. So domestic violence. Okay, I mean, so that's one of those things where I agree. Not all felons should not be able to own a gun. But then you look at violent felonies like that, where someone's have a track record of beating the crap out of somebody. Then
well, I mean, if that's their track record, it's not that we should prevent them from owning firearms; it's that they should just be in jail.
Right. Our
shouldn't have
justice
the
system
ability
should
to walk
do
around.
better.
Right.
You know.
One thing we need to, I mean, to kind of get off. This kind of gets off the topic, I guess, but a lot of the times they should either stay in prison or they should be rehabilitated or some sort.
Sure.
Or reformed in some way. Right? It's not. The problem isn't the gun. The problem is. Them.
Yeah. Well, and to speak to that issue, there are a lot of actual rehabilitation programs.
Yeah.
It's just they won't finish them or go through them.
Right.
Because where I used to work,
mandatory.
Well, that's the problem. They do, but they don't take it seriously. So I used to work at the church we all used to go to. I won't say its name, but I used to work for them, and I worked with a lot of guys from a program called Teen Challenge.
Right.
And it's an addiction relief program that was founded by David Wilkerson. It's Christian based. It's an amazing program, and I have some good friends that I've met there that I still try to keep in contact with now.
But isn't that like more drug addiction?
Addiction
he
period.
said that.
It's actually more. It's actually broadening now to addiction period. So it's like I've seen people with drug addictions. There was a guy I used to work with who was an alcoholic. There was even a guy I heard who admitted himself because he was addicted to pornography. And
that's kind of a.
Well, to finish that, I've worked with a wide variety of guys. A good portion of them were court ordered. And then they wouldn't take any job seriously, let alone working with me even. And so then I would tell my boss, like, hey, don't tell the organization not to send this guy because he's not helping me out at all. And then when they get the reports, they, come to find out that they're like that everywhere, so they get booted from the program, then they have to go back to jail. And it's because they're not taking any of these programs seriously. The ones who are court ordered, there are some people who admit themselves, and those are the ones that tend to take it seriously, but the ones who are court ordered, the legal system is actively giving them a chance to be like, hey man, like, I know you don't want to go to jail. You finish this program. Not only will you not go to jail, but we'll also expunge this from your record if you can finish this program and stay clean.
Well, right. That's the kind of incentives that they need to have, though.
They have them, but the problem is people.
But do they exist across the board?
I believe they do.
But
the problem is most people would be like, screw that, because they won't hit rock bottom hard enough for them to be like, I need to better my life, so they won't take it seriously. They'd rather go to jail.
They're at a lot of times they're at the point that they're not sorry that what they're done. They're sorry that they got caught.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Sure.
Or with like the violent crime stuff, they get embedded with more of the I'm hardcore type.
Like gang stuff,
or even if they're not in a gang beforehand, when they go into jail, they end up usually become part of a gang.
Yeah.
In an in-jail gang or some sort. Even if they don't completely affiliate with one, they still have to maintain a reputation.
Right.
Otherwise, they're just become.
Well, not only that, I mean, some jails, when it comes down to it, you actually like. Gosh, this sounds so bad, but. In a lot of jails, like, in order for you to not get the crap beat out of you every day, like, you almost have to stick with what they call, like, your own kind.
Right.
And as ridiculous as that is, it's like you almost, not only for, like, to keep a reputation, but you almost have to do that for protection as well.
Right.
If you can't fight.
Yeah, so so you basically get indoctrinated into a whole nother level of cultural violence.
Right.
Within prison, so whenever you try to go through the, you guys, maybe y'all haven't.
No, I've never been
The
to jail.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, I've watched it.
Yeah,
I've watched it frequently.
The whole institutionalized.
Yeah, when they let Hayward go.
Right. So
come on, man! I used to watch that on repeat.
Oh man, Red man.
I love that movie. That's a good movie, man.
But so
add that to the list of things I gotta watch.
How dare you? Anyway.
Well, he hasn't seen Predator.
Okay, but
or
you
Star
ain't
Wars.
Seen Shawshank Redemption? That is a classic.
But I've seen Predator.
I almost said Team Robbins. Team Robbins. Tim Robbins.
And Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. God, what an actor.
So anyway, yeah, the
Random.
But yeah, but it's a good showing of what
Yeah.
happens even to innocent people who will go in,
Yeah.
right, and that they become institutionalized and become part of this culture that messes them up and turns them into whatever they were put in jail for, even if they weren't that way prior to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you end up with a total rewiring of them, and now rehabilitation becomes a joke because they have to maintain their reputation, and they think that way even in rehab. So, so the entire prison system is kind of needs a reformation on how we treat criminals rather than putting them into these
Right. Putting them in cages and saying, "This is what you deserve."
right. Which even if they do, keep them from society, but try to get them to where they're not. Now, whether it works or not is up to the person.
Right.
But if we can cultivate more of a
You can lead a horse to water.
right, if we can. Now, the only exceptions I would make would be for those on death row, but that's just me.
Okay, random question. You said death row, made me think of it. Why do we have a line for death row?
I don't know. I think it should be immediate.
Right. Judge says sentence to death. Guess what? Take him out back. Put him in front of the firing squad. You save the freaking county.
Yeah, because here's the thing about death row, right? A lot of people are like, oh, well, we shouldn't have death row because it's cost money and all this. Is like, okay, yeah, right, it does.
Well, it costs money,
But,
make it cheaper.
Right, but here's the deal. People complain that it's supposed to be a deterrent, right? Now, I don't see it as a deterrent. I just see it as straight punishment, right? But a lot of people consider it more of supposed to be a deterrent against extreme violent crime, right? Mm-hmm. The only way of death row can ever be a deterrent is if it is
immediate,
performed expeditiously.
Yeah,
right.
If you get your whole life in jail,
right,
and you're in your 80s by the
and
time
you get three meals a day,
right.
A safe place to lay your head out of the rain, and
plus the last meal that you'll ever have in your life is literally.
Oh my gosh, whatever you want.
Right.
I've heard of inmates getting like 4 different 30-piece buckets of chicken from KFC or something like that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where by the time they have the time to, it's like, yeah, this thing I'm doing is worth the chance or the possibility of just staying in jail for
because then they can file an appeal.
Yeah, they can always appeal it, and they can always try to
get it reduced to life or something like that.
So, but if it's
and I know what
like
hold on, I know what people
like
are
if you have
say.
a week, if you have like 1 week before from sentencing to death, it's like,
and I think it should be public. I think it should be public. Bring back public hangings. Bring back public execution by the firing squad. I bet you people would stop doing dumb crap.
And my whole point.
I mean, did people stop doing dumb crap when that was a thing?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
No.
They didn't, dude. No. Why do you think they kept hanging people?
Okay. Hold on, though. But there was a lot less crime back then. Also,
there was also a lot less people.
I mean, there was a lot less crime too. People definitely
that is definitely not a 1-for-1.
No. I mean there is a direct tie between population size versus crime waves. Right. Now,
like in the cities and stuff.
Well, we have open borders.
I mean, just watch the movie Gangs of New York. So
yeah,
it's like.
But on the other side of things, that I was going to say on that, the people who are worried about costs, it should be firing squad, and it should be pretty much immediate.
Well, not these days. That's expensive.
Depends on what you use.
Ammunition is expensive.
Hey,
I'm just saying you don't even
are still.
that's probably more torture than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, there was you know.
Whoa!
And
didn't you hear that the FUD down the street says it goes in, it bounces around, it's the most deadly round ever.
Wait, huh?
Okay,
you've not heard
you
that?
guys are missing the fact that it's less than 10 cents per round. We can kill a guy.
So besides the point,
50 rounds. And spend less than $5.
Okay, that's
or I could omit the whole need of a firing squad, give one dude, put him at 10 yards, make sure he knows how to use a firearm accurately, which isn't hard, give him a 9mm, tell him to aim for the head. That's 36 cents.
I mean, that's no longer a firing squad. That's just execution at that point.
Well, it's
Isn't that what the death
execution.
penalty is?
yes, but I mean, he's not wrong though, because it would cost a lot less with one round. Even a 50 BMG.
One hollow point.
Well, that's like $5.
One hollow point.
Yeah, $5.
One hollow
Compared
point.
to 36 cents?
Okay, compare
One-
that to what they're doing now.
One hollow point.
I'm thinking more, let's reduce it down to the bare minimum.
Bare
cost
minimum? You're
with a
talking.
single.
Okay, then I go back to 22s or like 10 cents, 8, 9
And
cents
also,
around.
they
You're
also
probably
have to-
going to need a few
and
of
the
those
fire
rounds.
and the firearm they use has
So
to
it's
be
going to end up being more than the 9 mil.
Well, if we're worried about cost, we need to make sure they only use the high point yeet cannon.
The yeet cannon.
Yes. I want to see that from a
yeet
judge.
cannon.
I sentence you to death by yeet cannon.
That needs to happen.
Everyone's going to be looking around like, they're going to like eat him with a cannon? What?
Yeah. So you got a jury going. God knows there's going to be some people in the jury that don't know anything about guns. They're going to go, "What's a yeet cannon? Can I get one of
Well,
those?"
if it's Gen Z, they're
Yes,
going to be
you
like,
can.
if it's Gen Z, they'll be like, they're going to eat him with a cannon? Like,
Yeah. I thought excuse me, Judge. President Biden said cannons are illegal.
Well, it's government, so
So, well,
All right. Well,
we went off the rails.
we went way off the
didn't
rails.
talk-
That's
We
okay.
hardly talked anything about tyranny.
Well, we disagreed with it, right?
We went from like tyranny to what was it, like
Prison
political
culture.
prison culture, well, political stuff, then prison,
prison
culture,
culture.
to like executions and prisons and like
I'm telling you what. Hey, I'm all for bringing back.
Our-
public
I mean,
our-
technically we're talking about using,
our opinions on the efficiency of execution.
But
Our
again,
opinions are-
we're not professionals in
I don't
that
need to be a
aspect.
professional. This just has to work.
well, he's not wrong.
I used to be a professional.
First Amendment, people.
These
Don't
are
get-
mildly jokes with a hint of sincerity behind them.
Right. No, I'm absolutely sincere when I say bring back.
I know. I'm serious
public
about.
execution.
I'm serious about firing squads. I'm not serious about me being the one to be on the firing squad.
No. That's not something I would want to live with. But
Unless I
mean,
get hired, then maybe.
But again,
I'm not a hitman.
it
by
would
the way.
cost whatever the serum is that they give a prisoner. They inject them with 3 vials of it to stop their heart. That is how they do it now, and those vials, you cannot tell me, is not expensive.
Well, they're expensive, but the vials actually have different purposes. One of which is to actually numb the prisoner, so they don't actually feel the poison work.
Yeah,
Because
what-
you actually feel it flowing
Yeah.
through your veins.
Yeah, isn't one of them? One of them's to numb. One of them's to put them to sleep, and then the other is to kill.
To stop their heart, yeah.
Yeah. I actually heard a story where I think it was a woman who worked in a prison. The guy had killed her family, and she got so vengeful and agitated, she actually switched the process. Ooh. And so the poison went in first, and the guy felt every little bit of it. Then he got put to sleep, and then he got numbed
Oh,
to get even with him.
I mean,
All right.
hell hath no fury than a woman scorned. I guess.
Straight up. It's true.
I wouldn't know that yet because I'm single, but I would have to keep that in mind. Actually, no, never mind. But
Ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have for you. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short because we have gone off the rails and off the path.
Maybe
off the
we'll
beaten
maybe
path.
we'll return to tyranny and have a more serious discussion on specifically tyranny.
Yeah.
yes,
I just wanted to point out the fact that the New Jersey too, but the New Mexico governor for sure is a tyrant and needs to be removed from office or something. Something needs to be done other than a slap on the hand.
Ow.
That was assault.
It was not assault.
That's assault. I can defend myself.
So,
All right.
Even though there's no ammo, but
Last words? Anybody? Anybody last words?
tyranny bad.
Tyranny bad.
Tyranny bad.
Okay.
Monkey explanation.
I was about to-
Monkey explanation. Tyranny bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Tyranny no go go.
yeah. And I will say this:
Bring back the firing squad.
drugs are illegal. So if they make firearms illegal, I mean, we won't have them on the streets, right? Right. Drugs are bad, okay?
Don't.
Just don't. Don't tread.
Don't.
No step on snake. All right, that's all we got for you. Thank you for joining us on the Arms from 15 podcast. I just had my own podcast. All right. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone off the rails, and apparently I've gone out of my mind. That is not a confession. It's not a confession. Do your whole edit thing. War Penguin. That's it. We're out.
Bye.
Adios.